Will I be much wealthier by the end of this call?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Wellness wealthier, but yes.
All right, welcome everyone to the 32nd episode of the Advisor Tech Book Live podcast. My guest today is Stevyn Guinnip of Grow Wellthy. Welcome, Stephen.
Thanks so much, Joe. Glad to be here.
So I keep running into guests that seem like they're in like Zen land for advisors, and you seem like a very Zen person. um,
Really?
at least, I mean, there's like Justin Castelli and Lindsay Troxel, and someone writing about health for financial advisors. That's not. I've worked for like 10 different financial advisors, and I don't feel like health has been something that's been a priority for any of them.
No, it's new. It's the future of financial planning, as I tell people. I think it's an up and coming thing. I see more people coming into this profession industry talking about things in addition to money, not besides money, but in addition to money to make this whole journey of planning a lot more meaningful to the advisor as well as to their clients. And health and wellness is one of those pieces that you can't be successful without it. It's one of those vehicles. Money's a vehicle, but so is health to get where you want to go.
Yeah, no, and what I'm finding, so I feel like COVID was a massive instigator for like a whole bunch of changes across the world and the way we work and stuff. And I feel like AI is doing the same thing. So I like to say AI is the worst thing that's ever happened to humans, and it's also the best thing that's ever happened to humans. Um, I think AI is going to take like all the negative aspects of social media. I mean, they're positive as well, but just like the loneliness and depression and addiction and TikTok and everything terrible about the internet kind of rolled into social media. And I feel like AI is going to take all the bad aspects of that and like so amplify them out of proportion that humans are going to seek human
Humans.
relationships and human priorities, health being one of them. What
I
are your
like that
thoughts on that?
perspective because there's so many people that are afraid of AI. Well, they love it, then they hate it, and you're saying there's a stage beyond that that makes us better.
Yeah, I'm still pretty anti AI. I think AI will be in everything, but I'm very anti it in the way that most humans are thinking about it. Um,
Mhm.
I think. Sorry, I have a lot of strong opinions. I hate that. I feel like I'm dominating the conversation. Um, I think anytime you go to your chat bot and want to ask it a question, you should always pause and think, is there a human I could ask this question to first?
Oh, that's
Like,
brilliant.
um, yeah, that was kind of an epiphany I came to. Like, you could build a relationship with a chat bot and live a horrible, miserable life, or you could just work on building human relationships and live a wonderful life.
Right, right. I like that. That's a cool epiphany that I'll have to, take to heart. I actually really like that.
Cool. Well, let's talk about you now. So, what has been your journey to where you are today and doing what you do?
Well, it's been a journey that started when I was 11 years old when I got into the industry as the daughter of a financial advisor. And that was in 1984 or 85, one of those. And they were actually called stockbrokers back then. And it was, a very different world than it is right now. But I got to watch my dad build his business and hustle and grow and learn new things and work all hours, worked while we were on vacation. I mean, I just got to see from the inside out what this life was about. And then I got to go on trips and meet other advisors. And I really understand this community. Even though I'm not a financial advisor, I get them.
Yeah.
And in college, I worked in my dad's front office. I got to meet his clients and I got to see them, go into retirement and go to their weddings or their funerals and just become a part of their lives. And that was probably my first epiphany was like, hey, wait a minute. These people are listening to my dad who cared very deeply for them and they're putting a lot of money into the right places and they're all ready for retirement and then they get sick right after they retire. have
Yeah.
one good year, or they have debilitating things that they can't go take the trip, or whatever the things they wanted to do. And I was just like, wait, stop. What's going on here? This is preparing for successful retirements, but their health was getting in the way of that. And then it kind of came home when I got to Scotland on I went to Scotland with my parents on a like an awards trip with other advisors, and the top advisor there that everyone wanted to be was slumped in the back of this bus after this event, and he's like, I don't know how I ended up sitting next to him, but he's like, "Steven, I don't even want to be here. I
Mm.
don't want to be here." No one, he was there alone, no spouse, his kids were estranged, and he had just gotten bad news from his doctor about his health. And I just remember looking at him going, "Is this success? Is this what we're all striving for?" Like, broken down, not wanting to be there, not excited, health is deteriorating, relationships are deteriorating. And so those were two kind of pivotal moments for me when my dad was like, "Hey, would you like to go into this business that might be something you're good at?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to go fix it from the other end. I'm going to make sure people are healthy and they have great retirements." So I went and became an exercise physiologist for 20 years.
Okay.
That's how I got started.
That's it actually makes a ton of sense, and now you're perfectly positioned when AI forces all humans to work on their health again.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I did the 20-year thing, and I was in research and NIH, and I did cardiac rehab, and I worked in corporate wellness. I did all the fitness things, and it took me 20 years to realize that I wasn't making a dent, first of all, and second of all, it wasn't the solution I was looking for because I almost died. And I was living
Mm.
in Australia at the time, and I almost died of sepsis based on late nights, lots of stress, eating too much sugar, even though I wasn't overweight, or I was still pre-diabetic and didn't know it. And I had all these other issues that I thought exercise would fix. And I realized from almost dying that I had it completely wrong because I was thinking about health from a day's perspective, like, let's get your heart rate up and let's get some abs and let's do the hard workouts. I wasn't thinking about it in decades, like
Yeah.
long term, right? And when I started thinking about it that way and realizing the importance of small, sustainable habits that are across the whole, hate this word, comprehensiveness of health, but then I was like, "Oh, this is like money. This is how you become wealthy. You do these little things sustainable for a long time and they compound over time." And
Yeah.
I was like, "This I'm just in the perfect intersection here of health and wealth."
You are for
So,
sure.
now I just serve financial advisors and help them create that asset that is maybe a little bit more bankrupt than their financial asset. So most of the people that I work with are doing very well and they're very successful in business and AUM and savings and retirement preparation, all of those things, have great client relationships, but their health has been neglected for too long. And so what we're trying to do is bring it up to the same level so they can have really great outcomes for the rest of their life.
Yeah, no, and I was, looking at your website earlier this morning, and I noticed that, what it looks like what you point people to is like a 3-month wealth plan. Is that
Yes.
like a wealth boot camp, or is that just a way to kickstart some good habits, or what's the goal with that?
Yeah. Yeah, the wealth plan is like a financial plan, but it's for your health, and it's basically 100 days, and they come in and we say, "Okay, where are you? What's going on?" And we pull all the data. So imagine it's like, let's get your bank statements and let's get your 401k statements, but it's different. It's like, let's get your blood work and let's get your body composition and let's figure out what, all the different health metrics are. Let's get you a wearable and connect it to my portal so I can see how your sleep is doing and what kind of steps you've got. So we start to just pull all this data together and become aware, like, where are the biggest gaps? And that takes a few weeks to do that and pull it all in. And then we start working our way through the 4 steps. And those 4 steps are in this book, Grow Wealthy.
Yeah.
So the bottom step is your mindset. Like, how aware are you and where are you headed and what are you even trying to do? Because everyone's like, "Oh, Stephen, I saw on Instagram or my cousin's brother's sister's uncle told me I should do this." And it's like everyone has 1,000 ideas of things that they could do, but they don't have a strategic plan to move them forward toward their particular goals. So, like, bottom level, where are you headed? And then we go up to the second level, which is, how are you mending? So, bottom level is mindset, second level is mending. How are you sleeping and dealing with your stress and recovering from the work of your day? Because if you don't have a good mending level, everything that stacks above it is going to fail within a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, sometime. It's not gonna work well for you. So, let's get your sleep and stress under control, and then we move up to third level, and that is meals. Are you eating enough good food to fuel your body? Not like, slap the cookie out of their hand, but like, do you have enough fiber? Do you have enough protein? Do you have enough of the things that are gonna fuel you and make you feel good? And then after that, the very last level, the top is move, and that's like, do you have the right investment of movement into your future self? Because your future self, your healthy self when you're in your 70s and 80s all depends on how you move today because that's building your capacity for the future. And so we work that order of operations to get people, and that takes us about 100 days to
Yeah.
get all the data and figure out what they should be doing, and then they leave with a wealth plan. They leave with knowing exactly what they should be doing. And
Yeah.
then most people end up staying for the club, and we have the Wealth
Okay.
Club, and that's where we meet every month, and we have, like, great conversations with like-minded people who are trying to be on the same health journey.
So what's interesting, like a lot of my life has been around trying to be an online entrepreneur and come up with a
Yeah.
plan. And in a way, you've not only identified a way to get healthy, but you've also identified like a very simple model for like growing your business.
Yes.
Which is a 3-month plan and then a recurring, I assume some kind of recurring membership, which is
Yes.
also
And I read
fascinating.
your stuff on this, and I find
Yeah.
it fascinating to watch how you kind of think about this, and
Right.
the package that we put our product in is as important as the knowledge in the product itself. Like, how do you deliver it and how do you make it sustainable? Because, how many clients can I handle at certain levels? The first 100 days, I can only handle 1, maybe 2 new clients in a month because it's
Okay.
so hands-on, right? I can't scale that very much. But we move into the membership, and that can scale pretty big, right? And
Yeah.
we people can enter at several different levels of participation. And, the business model took me a while to come up with, and it's changed over the years, but this one seems to work so far.
No, I love it. I mean, I worked with Kate Gian at Simplicity Ops, and we were overhauling advisors' CRMs. And it typically ended up as like a 6-month process, but we could never figure out what the recurring membership looked like after that because like you completely overhaul their operations.
Yeah.
You're completely overhauling their health, but like figuring that out. Um, anyway, there's a lot of different ways we could go with this. Um, But because also I think, like, financial advisors could use a very similar packaging to for their own work, like a
Mhm.
3-month, like, get your finances in order, figure out what you wanna do with your life, and then, like, some kind of recurring membership. Um,
Right. Yeah, that's what I call it is like get your health in order. Let's figure it out. Let's gather it all. Let me tell you what we should be doing. And it's co-creation, right? I'm not saying here's your plan and here's what you should do. And it's like we have to follow what's going to work for your life and figure it out together. And then once they've got it, they can take it and run with it and be like, "Oh, there's the missing pieces I had. I'm good, Stephen." Or like, "No, I need help working this out. I need help keeping it front of mind. I need help seeing other people's journeys." And I would say 98% of the people that I work with in the first 100 days go over into the club because and some of them you're like, "Okay, well, there's a 1-year minimum that they have to stay in the club, and that includes their blood work, and that includes, unlimited sessions to work with me." I have never had anyone who's abused that because they're all busy business owners as well.
sure.
I'm there when they need it, right? So we jump into calls when they need it. We at least meet twice a year, but often it's much more than that. And so they love like having the blood work, the review of the labs, the reorganization. All right, here's what we're going to do for the next 3 months, or here's what we're going to do for the next 2 weeks. See how this works. Let's watch your labs. Let's see how things go. And then as they move through this, they just need me less and less and less. And I've had people ever since I started the club, which was probably 4 years ago, that are still there and they just don't wanna go because 'cause they're like, "This just keeps me accountable and motivated and checking on my stuff so I don't kinda get off course and teaching me new things," and because we do a monthly challenge, and, like, this month, it's more core, and that just I give them all kinds of ideas and education about how we can tap into the core for injury prevention,
Okay.
for breathing better so our stress is more under control, lots of different things. And then once a month, we bring in someone from the industry and they tell their story about their health journey. And
Nice.
they love that part. And so it just keeps people kind of coming back for that recurring connection.
Yeah, no, and there's something interesting. Like, I feel like everybody is following some influencer of some sort, whether it's a podcast like the Joe Rogan podcast or Stephen Bartlett or Chris Williamson or Andrew Huberman. But like, there's all these like super fit, healthy, wealthy, massive influences or audiences, people.
Yeah.
um, but there are similarities. Like, I mean, there's advisors, like recently I did a podcast with James Cannell of Root Financial, and like he's very fit, obviously. So there's or Justin Castelli's very fit. Like there's these people that are taking care of their business. They're obviously doing well financially, but they're also taking care of their minds and their bodies.
It's
Which
a multiplier. I
yeah,
think it's a multiplier. If your health is working for you, it fertilizes everything that you do in your business, your client relationships, and your ability to stay in the industry long term. And if it's not going well for you, it's a hindrance. It slows things your capacity down. And people I mean, I have clients that come to me in their 60s and they're like, "Steven, I love this industry. I don't wanna be done." Right? Like, I wanna stay in it as long as I can. And others are like, "I'm ready to exit, but I wanna go do some really cool stuff like, you know, climb the mountains or, go into the jungles and hikes and do." Some of my clients do the craziest stuff because they realize that they now have the capacity to do that. Their body will allow them to do whatever, whether it's
yeah,
business related or personal. And there's a guy, and I emailed you about this guy, um,
yeah. I
Mark
started
Hederman.
listening to it. Yeah,
Did you
they
see
both
it?
have they both have strong accents, but it was
Yeah.
the opening few sentences were super impactful.
Weren't they? Oh my gosh, It's Not All About Money. Is that what it was called? The
Yeah, what
podcast?
if what if financial advice was about living well?
Yeah. That I mean, it's just a brilliant paradigm shift of what advisors are doing for themselves, but then also how they're building the culture of their business and who's gonna work with them and why. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. So recently, I mean, a couple things happened in a row that led me to a certain conclusion. But one was I watched a Mr. Beast video, and he's like, with every single YouTube I create, I want to make it the best possible video I can make. Um, so then I was thinking about financial advisors, and I was like, what do financial advisors make? It's like, well, they make financial plans. So what is the very best financial plan you can make over and over and over? And then a third thing, Libby Gryway had just shared like Warren Buffett's two list strategy. Have you heard of this?
I haven't. No.
You basically think about when you're going to die and you think, what are 25 things I would love to accomplish in my life, before I die? And then, but here's the fun part, you take the list of 25, you put five on one list and 20 on the other. And the 20 become like avoid at all costs because they are the biggest distractions from the top five.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
which is really neat. So, but then the top 5, so then I'm thinking, well, what are the top 5 things that make for an amazing financial plan or life plan? Um, and you look up any research, the Harvard study on happiness, what people say when they're dying. Like, there's a ton of research around this, like what the top 5 things are. Um, do you want to guess what the top 5 things are?
Well, I'm going from research that was done by AgeWave, so I'll just pull theirs. It was AgeWave and Edward Jones that did this
Okay.
research in 2021, and then AgeWave and Merrill Lynch did similar research in 2014. And it's very similar outcomes. And they asked retirees what they were looking for in to make retirement fantastic. And
Okay.
in order, it was health, relationships, purpose, and finance. in
Okay.
that order. Is that somewhere close
Health,
to the top 5?
relationships. Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Um, so for mine is a little bit more spiritually based, but it's based on like the first and second commandments, which is love the Lord your God with all your heart, and then love your neighbor as yourself. So it's kind of like love God, love yourself. I always put love yourself second because I think that you can't. I don't know. Some people think that's selfish, but if you're not loving yourself, I think it's very hard to love other people.
Absolutely.
And then love your family, love your friends. Friendship also is like a massive part of a good life. And
Mm,
then work
mhm.
that serves others, which is kind of the finance piece.
Right.
But it's the first four are just relationships: relationship with the creator, with yourself, with your family, with your friends, and then
Mhm.
work.
Love that.
And
I love it.
the love you part, I've basically just counted as health, like um, whether it's mental health, physical health, spiritual health, diet health. So that's kind of so you said health and then relationships, I think, and then
Yeah, it was health, relationships, purpose,
purpose.
and money, finances.
And I think
I see them. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think purposes kind of falls into like the work that serves others, like
Mhm.
or Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like self actualization. Um,
Right. I see the first 2 on those as pillars. So, health and money as the vehicles, the tools that get you the relationships and the purpose, like, that help you do the work that is meaningful for you. I don't feel like health is meaningful by itself, and money is not meaningful by itself, but when you use those to get the things that you're looking for with the relationships and purpose, that's when it's priceless, right? Those
yeah,
2, and that's what they're and that's why I think of them as railroad tracks. I think of wealth and wealth, health and wealth. I think of them as 2 rails, and you're on the train. And if you're laying your money rail, but not your health rail, you're gonna derail at some point. And vice versa. If you're only working on your health and not money, you're not gonna get to where you're going, or the trip's gonna be pretty bumpy along the way.
yeah. So you could almost make it like an Eisenhower matrix. So like health and wealth would be on one axis, and then like your various relationships, maybe in order of priority, would be on the other axis.
Hmm.
Because I got to figure out how to actually visually make that work. But the point being, it takes some health and some money for to build relationships generally.
It does if you wanna, because relationships require energy and they require, um, traveling to visit those people. Not everyone lives next door to you, or making memories with
Right.
people or serving people. I know that financial advisors are some of the most serving, caring people that I've ever met before, and it's their strongest trait besides, I mean, they're pretty competitive, a lot of them too, with their own themselves a lot. But they can over that can overcompensate in taking care of others and skip the themselves part. So they'll serve everyone except themselves, and then they're pouring from an empty cup. And that doesn't last. That's not how to go long. If you want to go long and serve people and have great relationships and make an impact, then you need to pour into yourself first so that you have something to give to others. And I feel like that's the piece I preach over and over to my clients is you are worth the margin. You are worth taking time to pay yourself first, to take a profit first line,
Yeah.
right? Pay yourself first and then, if you've got a 16-hour wake day, you've got to commit, 10% of that day to you where you're either prepping your food or taking a walk or, enjoying something beautiful or whatever the thing is that's going to fill your cup up and take care of your physical and mental health. And then you can be more effective and efficient with the work that you do.
Yeah, for sure. No, it pays off, but it's kind of you almost have to. It's almost like a faith thing. You have to believe that making investments into your health and your relationships will actually make you more financially successful. It does. Like I think the research actually proves that it does, but it is um at some point you have to say I'm going to work less today and go take a walk, or you know what I mean,
Right.
or it
Right.
because it is a trade-off.
It is. I mean, you think about in college, I'm gonna stay up all night and study for this math test so I can do well on it, and it's hard to say if I get more sleep, I'll do better on the math test, right?
Sure.
Like, it's to back off a little sometimes is the answer to doing better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of the so I took the pay yourself first and made it like give first. So give first, pay yourself second, live third. I That was kind of a motto that I came up with a while ago.
Oh,
It was like take the first part of everything you receive and give it away. And then pay yourself second and then live third.
nice.
But it is that um it's kind of just like a gratefulness practice in a way. Like be grateful for receiving it, um, and then save and then live. But
Yeah, absolutely. There's a challenge we did. I'll pull this off my wall here. It was called Grateful Moves, and it's 8 moves that I encouraged everyone to do every day. And
okay.
it's basically think of something that you're grateful for that you have. And it changes. Then you start moving your body through these moves. It takes a total of 4 minutes to do this, but it changes the entire chemical cascade inside of your body when you begin with gratefulness. And I think people forget that too. You know, the gratitude piece is not just a thing to do because you should, it's actually physically beneficial for you to do that.
Yeah, I think like our entire society went through like a life hacks phase where people were just looking for hacks, and so like gratitude journaling became I feel like a hack. But I feel like
Mhm.
now we're in a more serious phase of just society as a whole where these aren't just hacks anymore. These are like actual life principles that work. That's
Right.
um
Which is awesome.
it is awesome. Um I mean, you appear like a very happy person. I think simply, being healthy, being happy becomes more, you become a more attractive person. And then I think that, financial advisors that are healthy and happy their clients will enjoy meeting with them more. Their prospects will enjoy meeting with them more. It becomes almost like a force multiplier.
Right, it's magnetic, right?
Yeah.
It pulls people towards you. They want to I feel like advisors are mentors to their 75 to 300 houses that they manage or work with. They're mentors in all things, not just money, but
Yeah.
in attitude and health, and they look at the advisor as someone they wanna be like and
Sure.
emulate, and that's a pretty powerful role, isn't it? A lot of responsibility there.
Yeah. No, that is interesting. Um, I started as a real estate agent, and like, one thing real estate agents do, like even before they're successful, is like they go out and buy a really nice car, like a Mercedes or something. But like real estate agents used to like have the clients get in the car and then they would drive to different houses together.
Right, right.
But they wanted to give the impression that like they were successful, they were living in a nice house, they were driving a nice car, and then encourage the clients, the prospects, to buy a house while they were enjoying a ride in a nice car. Uh,
Right.
I think financial advisors are similar.
That reminds me of a story my dad told me when we first moved. We were in Blytheville, Arkansas, which is just south of the Boot Heel of Missouri, and it's all cotton land there, and it's a rich cotton farmers and lots of family history, lots of local connections. And we came in from the north, right? And that's where we moved in. He's trying to start this business. Two other financial advisors had already failed before he got there, and he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So he went to the business leaders in the town and said, "Mr. and Mrs. So and so, if you don't help me, connect me with some people, I'm not gonna make it here. And what's some advice you can give me?" And they said, "First of all, you gotta stop driving that car." So, yeah, that it just reminded me, they're like, "You gotta kind of pull yourself up and put on, something that people don't wanna drive the car you're driving." I think it was an old Cadillac or Maverick, I don't even remember what it was, but it
Sure.
was something old and kinda junky. And then I think it was he said he put a $100 bill in his pocket too. So like the out external and then the internal is like I've got money and I'm going to make this work and like just little bits of confidence. But you can get that like these moves I just showed you, these grateful moves, like you can do 4 minutes of these 8 moves and because it changes your chemical cascade in your brain and your body, you actually feel like you've done something. You feel confident. You feel like you've got more energy and it can switch. So like let's say a financial advisor is like making calls or knocking on doors or trying to grow their business, if they can have a little win and a little bit of confidence there, it comes through in their next meeting,
Yeah.
right? So we can actually create our own energy from what we do with our health in a
Yeah.
way.
No, there's someone used the word commission breath. So it's like when you're desperate for a commission, it actually gives you like a sort of bad breath. This is almost like
That's
confidence breath
funny.
or something. Like
Yeah.
some way that you come across as not needy and not desperate for a sale.
Right.
Um,
Right.
which is kind of yeah, it's interesting that actually being confident and not needing the sale is the best way to get the sale.
Right. Which it's hard to convince your subconscious mind of that, right? Because it kind of show your I hear people say all the time, like, your AI is showing, right? Like, your lack of confidence is showing, but you're trying not to let it show, but it's it's still there.
I haven't heard that yet. That's really good. Your AI is showing.
Yeah, I
We
heard
need
that on
people's
LinkedIn.
HI to show human intelligence.
Oh, yeah. I
Well, so
like
I've been
it.
comparing I actually have like a Lord of the Rings, like One Ring. Um,
Oh,
I've been
nice.
are you familiar with the movies or the books?
Yes, yes.
I've been comparing AI to the One Ring. So like when you put AI on, it makes you invisible. Meaning if all the content you're putting out is written by AI, it's not your content. And so you as the human being have now become invisible
Oh,
because
wow. That's
um
insightful.
yeah,
Didn't you make a map that had, like, the Lord of the Rings
I did.
uh, tone to it or something? Okay,
I did.
I didn't know it was like a theme in your life. That's cool.
No, so I was it was just an idea, but it's like the Kits' advisor tech map, and now there's a services map. I don't know. Actually, are
Mhm.
you on the services map? I don't remember.
No, but I announced on LinkedIn that I that is a goal that we need to make a little
Okay.
space that's advisor health or well-being,
Yes.
because that's the multiplier for their business, so,
We'll make it
yeah.
happen for sure. I'll make sure we get a hel
Sweet.
health a wealthy, healthy category,
Yes,
whatever we call
yeah.
it. Yeah, so I actually had a conversation with Jason Wank, and there were these new like AI advisor tech tools that are coming out and just getting like absurd valuations, like 250 million, 500 million. Like there's AI note takers getting valuations beyond what Redtail sold for. And I was like, what is going on? Like, do they seriously think like this tiny category is going to be worth this much? Um maybe it wasn't him specifically, but someone I talked to is like, "No, these tools are trying to take the entire map. Like, they're planning to, like, knock out most of the map, and become
Oh,
like an AI all-in-one." Um,
oh,
so that was super insightful, and the reason they're getting such big valuations is because, they have big plans. I mean,
their
they're
growth
planning
plans.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're planning to replace, 10 to 15 tools that an advisor might be paying for with, like, an all-in-one AI tool.
Mm. You think it'll happen?
I think it will, yeah.
Mm,
I think it's not necessarily gonna result in, like, 80% of the map going away. I think the map will continue to grow, at least for the short term, but I think a lot of the, like, point solutions are gonna get gobbled up by bigger solutions.
yeah. It's fascinating to kinda watch it in real life and be a part of this generation, this time in human history to see this happening. I think we'll look back at this as, like, a COVID moment or an internet moment, right?
Yeah.
That completely changed the way that life happens.
I think the narrative is shifting, though. I think that the super AI positive, you gotta keep up kind of narrative is starting to break down.
Mm,
A lot of people I talk to are like, you don't need to keep up with AI. You actually need to slow down. And when you slow down, you will skyrocket past anything AI can do.
Yeah.
which I think goes along with the message that you have. Like,
Yes.
focus on your health. Don't focus on I just talked to a couple like AI founders that looked like they hadn't slept in 6 months and like,
Oh, no.
guys, you don't need to keep up. Um,
Oh, yeah. That's so rough, and, you think, "Oh, the hustle is I've gotta push." I just think of and it's one of the reasons I really hesitate, if ever, to work with anyone in their first 8 years of business because they have the blinders on and they're just hustling at all costs, and then later they have to go back and earn their humanity back, right? Like, earn the right back to give themselves permission. That's what I do. I give people permission to take care of yourself and stop working so hard and stop feeling like you have to hustle. And I have people that are, you know, probably the most successful in their regions or in their area, and they're like, "Stephen, I've been the top person for so many years. I don't know how to not hustle." And so there's this hustle culture that is eroding future production and health, and people don't see the trade-off yet.
yeah.
They always just think, "Oh, well, I'll just work on that later." And sometimes later doesn't arrive or you can't get it back later. And that's a message that's hard for people to understand.
That's a super powerful concept. The first 8 years. That's interesting that you came up with that number. Um, I think, I mean, I've kind of been an entrepreneur since I was 12 or 13, like starting a lawn care business.
Yeah.
Everyone I've talked to is like, you have to work 60 or 80-hour weeks. So like, don't be an entrepreneur or if you're just getting married or if you have a young family. Do you think it is possible to start day one with like a healthy mindset, or do you think if you're choosing to start a business, you have to grind and you have to give up your humanity for the first 8 years?
I have hopes that it's possible. I just haven't seen many people do it well. When I interviewed 500 and I think 8 or 10 people for this book,
Yeah,
just to get an idea, like, who are you? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you reaching your goals? And there were a few that started from day one and just always made time for their sleep and always made time for their workouts and always took their lunch to work or whatever those pieces of the puzzle were for them. But they were the unicorn. They were the ones that I was like, "How are you doing this? Give me your insights. How did you know to start so early? Because nobody does this." And if we could take your mindset and transplant it into somebody else or into the industry as a whole, we could save so much heartache and so much money and suffering that happens in 20 years when they come to me and say, "Help. I have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, I've got diabetes, I've got 50 pounds to lose, I feel terrible, I have to take a nap at 2 o'clock." All of that stuff could be avoided. At least 80% of it could be, right? If
yeah.
we could get into their heads. But it's a rare one that I find. And so if anybody's listening to this who is one of them, I would love to pick their brain and find out how they got there. I'm hoping it's kind of like money, that you can have generational health. And if you have generational wealth, you teach the principles to your children from a young age. And then you just know certain things that you do that sets you up for your future. I think you can have generational health as well. And it's just teaching an example and mindset as well from your parents and caregivers.
Yeah. Um, I want to talk about two things specifically. So one is the blood testing, and then I do want to talk
Yeah.
about like, the way that we live, especially in this world with like so much screens and addictions and content and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I recently watched the Theranos documentary, or at least I watched the first half of it. And I'm like somewhat aware with their story, but then Function Health and Aura Ring now has like blood testing. A lot of them use like Quest diagnostic centers to do the draws or direct
Right.
labs, I think.
Yeah.
What's your take on the whole like blood sampling industry?
I love the fact that it's in the user's hands now. You don't have to
Yeah.
wait for a doctor to give you a prescription for the labs that they want to run. You can actually get whatever labs you want run as often as you want. And I think that's powerful. I love Function Health. I think they have a great value, right? You get a good number of tests for a pretty reasonable price. Um, Oura Ring is fairly new. I haven't had anybody use that one yet through their app, but it had a decent amount of blood tests on it. I think we're still a little bit backwards as far as what tests are important, and everyone puts a lot of stock on, let's say, LDL cholesterol, but they never look at their insulin, right? And insulin is so immediately telling of how their body is tracking to chronic disease that if you don't know your fasting insulin, we don't really know how your metabolism is doing. I mean, we can look at your waist measurement and we can make some assumptions, but that number is really important. So I think making sure you know you've got the right numbers, that you're getting the right numbers is important. Make sure you're checking them at least every 12 months. My clients do it every 6 months, and then like through my program, we go through LabCorp. So there's usually Quest or LabCorp,
Okay.
and Function uses Quest Labs, and I don't know what Oura Ring uses actually, but I use LabCorp myself, and so we just make sure I call it a longevity profile. So there's certain blood draws that you'd get for immediate acute problems, and then there's certain blood draws that you'd get for long-term chronic disease development. And we're just looking mostly for insulin resistance. And I probably look at insulin resistance from at least 5 different angles to see if it's showing up in the liver, or is it showing up in the insulin, or is it showing up in the triglycerides, or where is it showing up and how can we work on it? And
Yeah.
I think just having that understanding of what you're testing for, because I have so many people that just get the basic labs and the doctor's like, "Hey, you're fine. See you next year." But when you track some specific numbers and then you look at the trend on those numbers, it tells a whole different story, right? Trend is more important than what the actual number is.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you said you have a portal that this data actually goes into. Is it like a software product or just a way that
Mhm.
you have a software?
Yeah, it's a third party, like, they provide the platform, and then I customize it with all the pieces and parts that I want, and
Cool.
so it's where my labs live, it's where the food journals live, it's where, it's the billing runs through there, it's all HIPAA compliant so that their
Yeah.
data is safe, we have communication through there, so it's all inside of there where we can keep it in one place and make some great decisions in one platform.
Yeah. Do you mind giving a comment or two on what Theranos was trying to accomplish? And then was it just like crazy to be able to run that many tests with such a small sample of blood, or what was going on there?
What is the Serenus thing you're talking about? I don't know
Oh,
what that is.
Theranos was a blood testing company.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, fill
Um,
me in.
so Elizabeth Holmes was the founder. She became a billionaire basically selling the idea that hey, we can run all these blood tests with like a tiny sample of blood. Um, but the
Oh.
technology didn't actually exist, but the company um it she I mean, she's in jail now, actually. The company raised a ton of money, she got contracts with, like, Walgreens, but they were faking all the tests. They weren't faking the tests, but they were running actual tests, but not the way that she was saying that they were running them. Um, so
Wow.
it's kind of it's almost like an Enron scandal or something. It was a
Oh, is it a
huge.
documentary or where did you watch it?
Yeah, it's a documentary. I think I watched it on Amazon.
Oh, okay. No, I actually don't know anything about it, so I'll have to look into
Okay.
it and see. Yeah, so, wow, that's crazy. So, is it
Yeah,
total fraud that they were being sold that it could do certain things, but then the technology wasn't available to do that?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super
No, I
interesting.
know for mine it has, I I don't know, maybe 11 different things, and some of those things are panels that have 4 or 5 things inside of each panel, and they probably take, 6 or 7 vials of blood, I would say, so it's definitely
Yeah.
not small. And with Function Health, if you go with them, they do 2 lab draws, so you have to go back twice, plus you have to do a urine, um, sample as well. So it's definitely not in that realm of the micro blood sample.
Yeah. Do you tell your clients do you care what tests they take and what system they use, or is that all kind of included?
It's included, so when they come on board with me, I create their requisition for their blood draw through me, they print it off out of my portal, and then they just take that to the LabCorp near them, and
Okay.
then LabCorp they don't have to say anything, they don't pay anything, they don't show any insurance, and then LabCorp just draws whatever's on the requisition, and then those numbers come directly into my portal, so then
Okay.
I just let them know, "Hey, your labs are in. Let's send these to your doctor," right? Because we have to keep the doctor involved. I'm not a doctor, I'm a thought partner. I'm someone that's helping them ask great questions and figure out what they should be paying attention to. Um, and so then we're like, okay, let's go over this. Here's the questions I want you to ask your doctor. Here's the trend on things. Here's what we want to focus as far as your strength or whatever it is, and make some adjustments as far as their habits go. But yeah, it's a curated list of specific things, and I can certainly give you an access to the list of things that I say think people should ask for because you can get them through your doctor or you can get them through, anywhere really. But
Yeah.
it is a specific grouping of things that tell me how things are working for the future, right? Like
Yeah.
if it's like white blood cells and you have an infection, that's not what I'm looking for, right? I'm
Right.
looking at more chronic disease
It's
stuff.
more like proactive healthcare or something.
Yeah, because you think about it, Joe, there's some new research coming out about Alzheimer's. So when interviewed all these people for my book, one of the top chronic diseases they were afraid of as advisors was dementia. It
Hmm.
came up over and over again. Like if you can't do numbers well or remember what you're supposed to do, you can't run your business and you can't treat clients the way they need to be treated. And so they're like, that's what I want to prevent. So in my labs, we look at some of the new research numbers that are coming out about how to prevent your, how to reduce your risk. We can never prevent, but reduce your risk of some of these dementias. And so those things are like insulin levels. We want them to be, I talked about it for metabolic health. But it's also for brain health. We want your insulin levels to be under 7 and ideally under 5. People come into me, their insulin levels are 13, 18, and no wonder they feel terrible, right? And so we get that cleaned up a little bit. And so not only do they meet their goals of maybe losing weight or improving their blood work so they don't have to go on medication, but they're reducing their risk for brain health. And there's several. There's a collection of different things for brain health that we look at. And so we're just it's kind of like finances, right? If someone comes in with their money, we're like, what does this money mean for your kids? What does it mean for your health? What does it mean for your future, your retirement? You kind of look at it from different angles, make sure you're covering all the bases. That's what I try to do with health. It's like, all right, let's look at it from all these different angles: brain health, emotional health, physical health, the desire in to do the things that you desire, and your family history. You've got a lot of diabetes in your family history. So we know that we already have that stacked against you. So we have to be
Sure.
a little bit more dialed in here, right? So it's there's a lot of nuance to it, but when you start paying attention, things get very clear because all those numbers tell a story.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Um, do you do you think about your offering as like a done with you program? Because there's like DIY done with you or done for you, and typically there's like a cheap option, a medium, and an expensive. Have you
Yeah,
looked
I
at like
can't do it. I
tiering
can
it?
only do Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Have you looked at tiering your service level so you can like serve more people at scale, or how do you think about that?
Yeah, I just have the DIY. What is that? Done done on your
Do
own?
do it
Do it
yourself. Yeah.
yourself. Okay. The do it yourself and the done with you.
Okay.
And that's because I need to kind of guide people through that on the done with you. I can't do it for them
Sure.
because that's their health habits. They have to be engaged in that. So there's just those 2 options, and the bulk of my business is done with you. That's where we see the best results, we see the most transformations, and that's what makes me happy because that's why I get up is to see people's lives transformed. I have tested a DIY, and if it's a course and I've got it all there, like, they could run through it themselves, people just don't finish it. They
Yeah.
just get lost in the middle somewhere, and I don't feel super great about that, so I have it, I just don't have it turned on at the moment because I'm not sure how to feel good about it and also have it be a business offering.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. Courses in general, I don't think have done that well the past few years.
Mhm.
There's just too much content. Like, there's people that have an hour long video and they have like 40 of them as a course. And it's like,
Right.
no one's disciplined enough, or like, unless you're providing like a fantastic amount of value in your 40-hour course, like nobody's going to watch it.
No,
They don't even
no.
want, I mean, unless it's like their favorite TV show that happens to be one of the top 3 TV shows in the world, nobody watches 40 hours of anything.
Right. It's so true. So how do you take all the content and distill it into the things that are most important that they can follow on their own without needing to be redirected at some point? I haven't found that secret sauce yet. I'm still working on it, but I haven't found it yet.
Yeah,
I
it's
hope
a
that
count
that's what the book will be, that people can read this and help.
it's an accountability thing. I mean, I have a book too. Books are amazing as like a first step into an idea. Um, but like someone reads my book and it's like, oh, here's all the technology that Joe recommends, or the marketing methods.
Mhm.
But then to actually go like transition from their current tech stack to their new tech stack, like that's a whole different service level. Um,
Absolutely.
but something I've found is it comes back to mindset, which I think you start with mindset. An advisor can't implement the right technology if they don't have the right mindset about what they're trying to
Mhm.
build.
Yeah. Why are they doing it, right? What are they trying to achieve? And is the pain worth it? Because tech is, I mean, you live in this world. For us business owners who aren't tech people,
Yeah.
it's scary and it takes a lot of time to investigate all the different parts and then to actually make a switch and have the learning curve and all of that. Like your offer to help do that is pretty priceless. I would imagine it's pretty popular too.
Yeah, no, it's desperately needed. I think that it's without the I mean, I just saw Olivia Looper with she's like a copywriting marketer for financial advisors. She
Yeah,
sent out a couple
at her.
She sent out a couple emails recently, like, "I used to help advisors do all this stuff, but it doesn't work if they don't know why they're doing it or who they're doing it for." So I'm, like, pivoting entirely to focus on why are we marketing and who are we marketing to? Because putting out a bunch of marketing content without being incredibly clear, um, is it just breaks down at some point.
Absolutely. I have people come to me and they're like, "Stephen, would you just give me the eating plan that I should eat and tell me what I should do exactly?" And I'm like, "That was Stephen 20 years ago. I would have said yes and I would have given it to you, and then it would sit there on the table and get dusty, and then eventually you throw it away because
Right.
you just don't know why." So now that's what in the first 100 days, it's all about why are we even doing this? Because if they understand that and how physiology works at even at a basic level, when they're 10 years down the road, they'll still be able to shift and navigate their health if they understand why, right? They won't need me. I mean, if they want to stick around that long, they can. I'm certainly happy to serve them, but they it gives them back the control. It gives them back the understanding. So, and I tell people all the time, you're on an airplane and you're flying on a destination. You're the passenger, but you're also the pilot, right? Like I'm here to teach you what all the bells and whistles and buttons and stuff do, so you can pull the button. I've got a client going to Italy next week. And they're just like, what do we do? And I'm like, you have all these tools. Okay. You get to pull this one and this one for your Italy trip. When you get back, we'll push this button, and then you're good, right? So teaching people how to be their own wealth manager, right? That's what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. So I think that, my point kind of around advice has been, you can go hire a AI financial advisor for $1 a year. Um, but what advice is becoming like almost exclusively now? I think the investment management and the financial planning is the value of it's going to zero. Meaning the knowledge is all going to be publicly available to everybody, um,
Right.
through like a chat bot. You can give your chat bot your entire financial, all your details, and it will give you a great financial plan. But what humans need is transformation. They need like mindset shifts, they need habit shifts, they need to spend, like, however you're living your life today, in order to get the results that you're not getting currently, you're going to have to start living each day differently.
Mhm.
um and I think
And you need
trans
encouragement to do that.
yeah,
And you need someone who cares, right?
yeah,
What did Mark Hederman said it in this podcast that I sent you. He said it's a love story. And being an advisor is actually a love story with the between the advisor and their clients, right? Because I care about you, I care about your future, and I'm here to say hard things and to encourage you when things go well. And that's the piece you're not going to get from AI.
yeah,
You could go Google or AI, Chat GPT, and say, "What's the best thing I should eat? How do I take care of my stress?" You could put all the stuff in that I do, and you're not going to get the strategy and the nuance that the human can offer. And I think that goes back to your point from the very beginning, is that where the humanness is going to override all the AI, or at least a lot of it, right?
yeah,
Because that's where the true value is.
yeah. No, I think the people that lean into being human will so rocket past the people leaning into AI that it will make the AI almost irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
I do too. It's exciting.
cool. Well, that might be a good place to wrap up. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. If someone is interested in working with you or finding more about you or buying your book, where should they go?
Growwealthy.com. And just remember, wealthy is not spelled right. It's Well, like wellness. So grow wealthy has two W's in it, .com. And that's where you can see my story and you can get the book there and you can meet up with me and do a consultation if you want to. Um, and then follow me on LinkedIn. I post there all the time. I try to give as much free value away as possible. And, Saturdays are really important. Saturday get ups, where I do a get up somewhere around the world with an interesting backdrop where I sit on the floor and then get back up again and encourage
Oh,
everyone to do those every day,
okay.
but especially on Saturdays. So follow me there too.
That's cool. I'll have to check that out. All right. Thanks again. Good to chat with you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.